The Atlanta Braves have officially terminated their broadcast deal for 2026. You are going to get to watch the games. We just don't know how or where. Let's talk about it. Yes, welcome on into a special bonus emergency edition of Braves Today. I'm your host, Lindsey Crosby, award-winning baseball writer and podcaster, and founder of the Braves Today newsletter over at bravestoday.com. We're proudly part of the Believe Podcast Network and presented to you by FanDuel. I want to talk real quick. News broke on Thursday. It is about 5:30 p.m. Eastern as I'm recording this. News broke about 4:45 or so that the Atlanta Braves are one of 9 teams who have terminated their broadcast contracts with Main Street Sports Group, who own and run the regional sports networks, including FanDuel Sports South, where we watch CJ Nikowski and Brandon Gaudin call Atlanta Braves games. So I want to walk you through what's going on and the fact that you will get to watch Braves baseball in 2026. We just don't know where yet. So you may remember from last winter when there was a bunch of questions about what was then Diamond Sports Group, the company that owned all of the, not all, but a bunch of regional sports networks and broadcast Major League Baseball. They were in bankruptcy. They were trying to get out of a bunch of deals. They did not want to get out of Atlanta's deal because that's like the one they make the most money on. But they wanted to get out of a bunch of deals as they were trying to get out of bankruptcy. And it's important to point out, Diamond company, Diamond Sports Group, that is a different and distinct company from Diamond Baseball Holdings, who owns all 4 of Atlanta's minor league affiliates. The company that runs them and like 30 or 40 other minor league teams, it's called Diamond Baseball Holdings. They are a different company. They are fine. But Diamond Sports Group went through bankruptcy, came back out as Main Street Sports Group. They had a new licensing agreement. In this case, they went from Bally Sports to FanDuel Sports for the naming rights for the channel. They had a distribution deal with Amazon so people could pay to watch the channels and watch them through Amazon Prime Video. And they had reworked a bunch of contracts, not all of them, but a bunch of contracts to continue showing games in 2025. And they had, at the time, I believe, they had 9 teams: the Braves, the Reds, the Tigers, the Royals, the Angels, the Marlins, the Brewers, the Cardinals, and the Rays. All 9 of those teams played on FanDuel Sports something. South, Southeast, Northeast, something. All 9 of those teams today have terminated the broadcast deals because multiple teams have not received the payments that they are owed by Main Street Sports Group. We know that the Cardinals didn't get paid in December. The Miami Herald reported this morning that the Marlins didn't get paid. We don't know what other teams. We do not know if the Braves did or did not receive that payment. But because of all of this unknown, and because of the inability of Main Street to make these payments, all 9 of these teams have terminated the deals and pulled their broadcast rights. The important thing to know, the first important thing to know, you are going to be able to watch your team in 2026. Okay? Rob Manfred spoke to the Associated Press on Thursday. Here is the quote. Quote, "No matter what happens, whether it's Main Street, a third party, or MLB media, fans are going to have the games." So what happened here is when, at the time, Diamond Sports Group had all of these issues 2 years ago, Major League Baseball created a local media department. So production people to put on the broadcast. They negotiated cable distribution and satellite distribution agreements. They sold advertising time. They coordinated local streaming through MLB.TV. So for all of the teams that they are already broadcasting, the Diamondbacks, the Padres, the Guardians, the Rockies, the Twins, and the Mariners, they did them last year. They're going to add the Nationals for this season. You would either be watching on local cable somewhere, or you could pay the league directly. You could go to Padres.tv or Twins.tv and pay usually $29.95 to get official streams from Major League Baseball through MLB.tv and watch your local team. There were no blackouts in that area. If you were an MLB.tv subscriber, you paid for that additional package and you could watch your local team. So that is what Rob Manfred's talking about when he says you will be able to watch the games. You will be able to watch the Atlanta Braves in 2026 in some form or fashion. The thing we don't know is where you will watch them, how much it will cost. The decision here is now up to the Atlanta Braves. These 9 teams are now making their decisions on where their broadcasts will be in 2026. Now, obviously, MLB is involved in this. Rob Manfred had some quotes here. Quote, "Our focus, particularly given the point in the calendar, is to maximize the revenue that's available to the clubs, whether that's MLB media or third party." And we'll talk about that third party possibility in a minute. The clubs have control over the timing. They can make a decision to move to MLB media because of the contractual status now. I think that's what's happening right now. Clubs are evaluating their alternatives. Obviously, they've made significant payroll commitments already, and they're evaluating the alternatives to find the best revenue source for the year and the best outlet in terms of providing quality broadcasts to the fans. In just a second, let's talk about what Atlanta's options are here and the impact it is going to have on payroll. We'll do that next, right here on Braves Today. Welcome back to Braves Today. Lindsey Crosby, emergency episode here as we get the news reports that the Atlanta Braves have terminated their broadcast agreement with Main Street Sports Group for the FanDuel Sports Network broadcast that we were watching all season. So let's go through the options the Braves have now. And the one thing to point out is we don't know this for a fact, but in all of those previous situations, right? MLB taking over broadcasts and things like that, they retained a majority of the personnel from the local, from the RSN. So we don't know for a fact, but it's very likely based on what they did in those other situations. Again, the Diamondbacks, the Padres, all them, that Brandon Gaudin, CJ Nikowski, Wiley Ballard, all of the camera people, the production people, those folks would still have jobs. They would just change who they worked for, but they would be doing the same thing. Not a guarantee. It's not an absolute fact that that's going to happen. But in a lot of, if not all of those situations earlier where MLB took on the broadcasts, that is how they did it. They just went in and said, we're going to hire all of you guys to keep doing what you're doing, and we will distribute, versus the company you used to work for distributing. So, fingers crossed, we'll still have Brandon Gaudin, CJ Nikowski, and Wiley Ballard and all the guys, all the folks in 2026. But that is option number one, going to MLB media and doing that. Now, the issue here with this plan is the payment structure. The revenues are going to change and almost certainly going to go down. So the way that this works, and I mentioned it earlier, is you would pay MLB directly for access to what I'm going to assume is going to be Braves.tv. The problem with this is they more than likely will make less money than they're making now. So in actual numbers, through quarter 3 of 2025, the Atlanta Braves made $165 million in broadcast revenue. Now that is divided. Some of that broadcast revenue is national rights, what MLB controls. That's the ESPN package. That's the Apple TV package. The ESPN package has now gone away. Like all of that stuff. Some of that's national. Some of that is local, which is a combination of the Main Street Sports Group and the local broadcast deal that they did with Gray Media last year, where you could watch some of the games on linear broadcast television. We don't know how much of that money, of that $165 million is impacted here. Some of it is. We don't know how much. But overall, the Braves made $600 million. They brought in $600 million in baseball revenue last year. So that's the actual games, the ticket sales and concessions. That is the broadcast. And then that is the retail and the licensing, right? Again, $600 million, $165 million of that was the broadcast. That's, roughly 27.5%, 28% off the top of my head of their revenue came from that. Because the RSN model, and the reason it's collapsing, is the RSN model is based on every single person that has a cable package with FanDuel Sports Network in there pays a fee. Whether or not they watch it, they pay a fee. And the issue here, the reason that Main Street Sports Group is going under is because less and less and less people have cable every year, but their payments don't go down. A lot of these deals actually have contractual increases year over year. So they're paying more and more while bringing in less and less revenue. When let's assume that Atlanta switches over to the MLB option. In that scenario, how many people are going to pick up the package at $30 a month? Probably not enough to offset every single person that has cable in the broadcast area. Revenue is going to go down. We just don't know by how much. Now, again, some of that 165 is national. That shouldn't change. Do they expand the broadcast deal with Gray Media? I think Gray broadcast like 15 games last year. They were available over the air. If you had an antenna, you could plug it in and watch Braves baseball, which is awesome. Do they try to get Gray to buy more games over the air, and you can either watch them over the air or watch them on the streaming package? Either way, it likely does not make up for the amount that they lose from Main Street Sports Group. Now, the other option here is they can always re-sign with Main Street Sports Group. They were trying to do a transaction with DAZN, D-A-Z-N, which is a streaming provider, does a lot of stuff in the UK. They do a lot of like boxing and things like that. That deal is almost dead now. It's pretty much dead. The streaming service Fubo has come out and started discussions about would they buy Main Street Sports Group. And so MLB teams have the option to wait and see if that goes through and re-sign with Main Street Sports Group for 26. Or like Rob Manfred said, they can just go ahead and go to MLB Media now. The plan was always for the streaming rights in the broadcast area to be available by 2028 so that MLB could get rid of blackouts. Because these deals, these 9 deals here, this is what caused the blackouts. These companies had like Main Street Sports Group had the exclusive rights to the broadcast in Braves country or in their respective team areas. So that's why the blackouts existed. If MLB takes on all 9 of these teams, there won't be blackouts in any of those areas. So The question here, like, you will get to watch baseball in 2026. You will get to watch the Atlanta Braves. The questions we have, again, number one, where will we watch? Will it be over the air from Gray Media? Will it be streaming through MLB.tv? Or will it be a deal with somebody else, right? Does some other broadcast group step up and make a deal for these rights? We don't know. Thing number two, how much will it cost to watch? Is it something where our cable company is going to start carrying a new channel, or a channel is going to change to be the Braves broadcast network, whatever it ends up being? Will we be paying MLB directly to watch these games? We don't know. And three, and least important, but the one that I'm most curious about, what impact, how significant of a negative impact will this have on Atlanta's payroll going forward? Because, for instance, the Battery, the mixed-use development income that they made from the Battery in the first 3 quarters of last year was $70 million. Again, $165 million in broadcast revenue. We don't know how much they're losing in broadcast revenue. Can they make some of that up with money they make in the Battery? They still have debt and everything to service from the construction of the ballpark and the Battery. So either way, the organization is losing money. Atlanta may just have an extra source of revenue that most teams don't have to help offset some of these losses. So again, you're going to get to watch baseball. We just don't know where. We don't know how much it'll cost. And we don't know what kind of impact it's going to have on the team, either the rest of this offseason or next season, as we head into a lockout offseason, and they just went through an entire baseball season with less revenue coming from the broadcast deal than the one before. As we get more information on this, I'll probably write more things up over at bravestoday.com. We may stick it into some further shows, but I've had a ton of questions come, whether it's in the Discord, come on social media. Somebody even already emailed us about this, so I wanted to hop on and do a quick show. If this was helpful to you, if things like this are useful, do me a favor, leave a 5-star review for the show, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when we drop emergency episodes like this, when we go live, or just when we drop our daily show at noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. As always, go subscribe, bravestoday.com. Help us out a ton. Until next time, this has been Braves Today.